The cabin you have can greatly impact your cruise. Having heard both good and bad, we knew when we booked this cabin, we were taking a chance. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. We're on board Carnival Celebration and we are in a Havana balcony cabin. Now, before we booked this, honestly, I wondered, would we like this type of cabin? It is unique, but it is also a little bit controversial with some pros and cons. Now, I wasn't sure, would we love it or would we hate it? Would it be too loud? Would there be foot traffic? Would there be a lack of privacy? And would we even use some of the features and benefits of this type of cabin? And finally, overall, this is a pretty affordable cruise, but there was a little bit of an extra cost to this cabin, so we weren't sure would it actually be worth it. Now, by the way, while we're on board Carnival Celebration, these types of cabins are available on Carnival's Excel class, so Carnival Celebration, Carnival Jubilee, and Carnival Mardi Gras. Now in this video, I'll share with you what is and isn't included. I'll also show you some of the features of the cabin as well as the Havana area. And of course, I will share with you the things we liked and the things that we didn't, along with some tips and tricks along the way. Now, before we get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Okay, so first, what is a Havana cabin? So the Havana Cabana cabins are all, at least on this class of ship, so that is Carnival Celebration, Carnival Mardi Gras, and Carnival Jubilee. They are all in the forward area of the cruise ship, and you have some cabins that are on the port side, some cabins that are on the starboard side, and some cabins even that are along the front. Now, those would be your balcony cabins. You also have some interior cabins as well. Now, the really nice thing about all of these cabins, and by the way, there are 98 on the ship, is all of the cabins do have access to the deck area outside of the cruise ship that is the specific Havana deck area. Now, the Havana deck area includes a pool, includes some sitting spaces, and it includes its own bar. Now, I'll show you a little bit more about the Havana outdoor deck in just a couple of minutes, along with some of the features and amenities that you do get when you book in the Havana cabins. But first, I did want to show you our cabin. So even though we are on Carnival Celebration, the Havana cabins look distinctly different. So you could see that they have this sort of Havana decor. It is really interesting, and the cabin definitely feels cozy. Now, we're in a Havana balcony cabin, so we have two beds that convert to a queen size bed. We also have a sofa, and that can convert to a bed for a third person. And by the way, if you do have 4 people in the cabin, we also do have a Pullman bed that is in the ceiling. Now, the storage space is pretty good in this cabin. We have a lot of closet space and shelves. And in the desk area, you have 3 drawers as well. Now, you also have a mini fridge, and something that I really like that Carnival does is they actually have it already emptied out. So if you bring wine or if you bring soda, or even if you have anything left over from room service, or you pick up something at the buffet or anything like that, you can put it right into your mini fridge. Now, at the desk area, you also have a large mirror with a good light. You have 2 shelves, and you also have sort of this bench or this stool that does have some storage space inside it. To be honest, I never used it. And funny enough, the seat actually, if you turn it over, it does become a tray. So the cabin is a pretty standard size for a balcony. We did like it. The bathroom is a little bit on the cozy side, so it's a little bit compact, but I have to say it was pretty functional. And the nice thing about the shower is it does have glass doors. Now, we have to talk about what makes this cabin so different and what some people might love or might hate. And that is the actual balcony area. Now, by the way, we are in cabin 8276. So as you walk out of our cabin, you have the balcony, and it is a really nice size. And it has a little, I would call it a porch swing, very cute, a little swing. It has a lounge chair and it has a regular chair. Now they're all kind of loungy, so if I had to say there's any negative, I would like a chair that adjusts a little bit, but honestly, it was not the end of the world. Now, for our balcony, we had 2 steps. It really felt a little bit almost like a townhouse complex or maybe even a condo project or something like that. It definitely felt different than any other type of balcony than I ever had, because we did have this sort of porch area before we went to sort of the main deck that was in front of us. Now, in our case, where our cabin was located, we did have some lounge chairs directly in front of us. Now, some people asked, are those chairs directly in front of you only for you? And I don't think so. I think they are for like everybody that's in the Havana area, but to be honest, we didn't find that they were used much at all, and we really only sat on them a couple of times. But I did spend a lot of time on my little patio, and I quite liked it in the morning time. It was partially covered, so we got a lot of shade, but we could still see the sun in front of us. And oftentimes in the morning between about 7 and 7:30 and about 9 o'clock a.m., I would have room service delivered, and I would just sit out with my coffee and my fruit, and sometimes Frank would come out as well, and we would just talk, or I would work a little bit for a few minutes or go on my phone, and I found it incredibly relaxing. So to get to a couple of questions, was there a lack of privacy? Well, yes, in a way there is a lack of privacy because you do have neighbors that are next to you, and honestly, our neighbors were just fine. But when we did walk down as we walked over to the Havana area, it definitely was a little bit neighborly. So, you kind of said hi to other people, nothing more than that. And we never found anybody to be very loud, but I think that that might depend on who else you're sailing with. Now, something that I wondered about, and I know other people do wonder about it too, is are there going to be a lot of people that are walking by your cabin? So even though I said there was a little bit of a lack of privacy, for lack of a better word, we actually never felt that anybody invaded our privacy. And by that I mean that people like from the public on the ship could not actually access this area. So we never had people just walking by in front of our cabin. We did have a crew member that would walk by, I think around 8 a.m. every morning. He was just sort of sweeping up. So that was really the only person. And our location in particular, which I do think is a good location, it was on the left. So I think that that is the port side. And I found that to be the best side because it was the most quiet. Oh, I have another tip about the cabin configuration, and then I did want to share with you a couple of cabin amenities. But first, I did want to talk more about that outdoor Havana area with the bar and pool. The Havana Bar Pool and sitting area. Now, this was a very nice area, but to be honest, it was a little bit more tight than I expected it. And I think on some of the other Carnival cruise ships, the Havana area is bigger. So this is just something to know. It is, I think, a little bit of a thin space, and something about the pool, it was on the small side. Now, I expected it to be full all the time, but it was really cold. So honestly, most of the time that we were there, people weren't using it much. Now, definitely the bar, it was really nice to have like your own bartender. So that was something pretty nice. And oftentimes we would go there maybe around 4 p.m., sometimes chat with some other people, go and have a drink. By the way, Frank's absolute favorite drink, and I tried it too, it was very good, was the Cuban iced tea. I think it's definitely worth having. Now, when it comes to the cabin location, this is something you'll really want to pay attention to. Some of the Havana cabins are going to be on the side of the bar area, and some are going to be on the opposite side like us. So while we probably would have liked to be a little bit closer to the action, so to speak, something that we noticed is that side does have the potential to get a little bit more loud and to have a little bit more foot traffic because, of course, you're going to have people walking by as they head towards the bar. And if you're one of the cabins very close to the bar and seating area, of course, that may get a little bit more loud as well. Now, a little bit of a con for the Havana seating area and bar and pool is the fact that it's on one side of the ship rather than the forward or the back. Now, I only say that because one of the other days, it was yesterday, it was a sea day, And when we did go over there during the day, I guess just the positioning of the sun, it was very shady on that side. Now, it's not that it's a problem, it's just that it's not perfect if you do want to sit out and you want to get the sun. So you're probably going to want to sit somewhere else. And we found ourselves often going up to Serenity, the adult only pool, and sun deck, where we found it was really overall pretty quiet. It wasn't too full. The seating was really nice and we could get the sun. So what do Havana cabins come with? Well, you do get a couple of amenities that are pretty nice. So you get Havana branded towels. They're left in your cabin and you could use them on your own chairs outside your cabin, or you could bring them over to the Havana deck area. But you also have some towels that are available there if you do forget them in your cabin. Then you get Havana branded bracelets, and that's your access to go onto the Havana deck. And you also get Havana branded bathrobes. Now, to be honest, this was something we needed to ask our cabin attendant for, but she brought them right away, and we did really love them. Now, when it comes to the cabin configuration, this is something that I've become a little bit particular about in cabins in general, even on different cruise ships. So I think we ended up with the perfect cabin configuration. So our bed, as you can see behind me, is closer to the door, and the couch is closer to the patio area. Personally, I like having my couch and my desk, basically my living space. I like to have that closer to the patio. So if you don't mind either way, then don't worry about it. But if this is something you're particular about, then you could look on the deck plan of the cruise ship to pick your cabin. So what did we think? Well, firstly, when it came to the cost of the Havana cabin, it was really not very much more than a regular balcony cabin. So I think that it may have cost us around $150 more. It was not a huge difference. It's probably been one of my favorite cabins that I've ever had. So was it worth it to us? Honestly, it was, because I loved sitting outdoors on that patio area. It actually got me thinking about how I would love to have like a condo just on the beach or something. Anyway, that's a dream for another day, but I really did like it. But I know this cabin is not going to be for everyone. The other thing as well is our cruise ship only had, I think it was 5,700 people on it. That is a lot of passengers, but it can go up to about 6,400, so it wasn't even full. So if this cruise ship was even more full, I think I really would have appreciated having those deck chairs that are right outside our cabin for when I wanted to get away from the crowds. So please let me know what you think. Would you like a Havana cabin? Please let me know down in the comments below. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.